good, Mike. How are you?
Hello, Morten. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Very good.
Really
Thanks
good.
for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So how was the Romanian conversation you had prior to this?
Very good. Very good. Actually, my first time addressing that audience, so kind of exciting.
Well, that's really good. Well, we were filling in with some of the things that we were going to be doing coming up, and so I'm glad to have you there. And so I think that we can just go ahead and proceed on with this, Morten.
Yes.
So are we ready? If
yeah,
you are,
go on. Please go on.
Okay. Well, anyway, as everybody knows, we have real special guests on today, and Mike DiMuccio. Let me tell you a little bit about Mike that I know of. Now, Mike's been in the business of in our business for over 20 years. And Mike, anything I say that's not correct, you can correct me after I
Sure.
I tell a little bit about you. But I believe you've been in the business for over 20 years. What's really interesting about Mike is that he has a graduate degree with aerospace engineering, which is really interesting, out of the University of Toronto. He's won a significant amount of honors through Nikken. He was a consultant of the year. He's obviously in the President's Club, Millionaires Club. He's earned over $20 million in income doing our Nikken business over 20 years. So I believe that you know, from some of the top leaders in the world, Mike certainly fits in that. And I believe also, Mike, you're in the top 10 income earner as well. So having said that, I'd like to welcome you on our call, Mike.
Thank you, Chris. Pleasure to be here.
All right. So you know what? One of the first questions a lot of people talk about is how does a person that started out with a degree background in aerospace want to do anything like network marketing? I mean, how did that transition work? I know that you didn't get a degree for that, so how'd that work?
There were a few steps in between, and you know, it's rare that you actually find somebody who's graduated from university who ends up in their field. I was pursuing aerospace engineering because I was pretty good in school. I was always getting great grades, and one of my interests was in a TV show called Star Trek. So it's no wonder I ended up boldly going where no one had gone before in network marketing with magnets, because I could really relate to the idea of being a game changer, you know, being somebody who was on the frontier of something new and exciting and had worldwide impact. And so my mindset was always oriented around these lofty ideals. And so when I graduated aerospace, I actually landed a recording contract that was already well into writing and producing original music. And so I thought that's where my life was going to go. And about 2.5 years into that, I was under contract. I was in a recording studio, writing and producing and getting stuff together for our original album. And the record label, being a corporation, you know, they lost their ability to fund their operations, and so with that went my short life in the music industry. So from there, I actually ended up working with a friend of mine who was a bass player, and he had been also a musician and went into working as an electrical contractor. He was developing houses and things like that, and he needed some help, and I helped him install some pot lights at my dad's house, and long story short, I ended up working with him for about 3 years following that, something that was only actually supposed to be for the summer. I was just going to help him out a little bit for the summer, make ends meet, sort of reacquaint myself with what I needed to do to get into the music business again on my terms. And so 3 months turned into 3 years, and during that time, that's when I had an accident. It was in the van of the electrician's van there, and we were on our way back to the shop. Hit from behind, lower lumbar strain, whiplash of the lower back, essentially, and that started a new chapter in my life, where now I was going through this health regimen: physiotherapy, chiropractic care, massage therapy, and for about 1.5 years. Doing all of these things to deal with this low back pain that was persistent, I mean, on a daily basis, and nothing really helped. And so while that was happening, and I was obviously in transition mentally and emotionally, I was introduced to network marketing. And I remember as a kid, a lot of people don't know, I've never really told this story, but as a kid when I was, I think, maybe 13 years old, I was invited to a close friend of the family's to an Amway family reunion. So I actually went with members of my family, distant members of my family, to a huge event. There was like 10,000 people at this Amway reunion, and I got the experience, the full frontal experience, you could say, of that Amway thing. And I think I caught the bug really early on, because I remember doing presentations in my bedroom to myself with the flip chart thing and drawing circles. And I was drawing circles as a kid at 13 years old. I mean, I never actually did it for anybody else, but I think I caught the bug. I like the idea. So that sort of went asleep in the background, and then I went through my life and my career, and then next thing I know, I'm invited to look at network marketing again. And again, I fell in love with the idea, and it didn't take very long until Nikken came knocking, because it was through the product that Nikken came knocking. And when I saw it, and I saw what everything Nikken stood for, I connected the dots. It was like, okay, I get network marketing. I get why people are excited, and I'm very enthusiastic about hanging out with people who are excited about life and are going someplace and can have a dream and can pursue that dream and are supported in that dream. But when Nikken came along, it was the network marketer's dream opportunity, because rarely could you find a network marketing company, or at least I had not been exposed to one, that was so product driven.
Right.
And so that just sort of really turned me on. I just got off this call from Romania, and I was saying, boy, I get offers every week. I'm sure there's going to be another one this week for some of the network marketing company. You get on people's list, and next thing you know, they're throwing money at you, all kinds of stuff to get you to go over to the other side. And I said, the one thing that they don't really understand about me is that I'm not money motivated. Yes, I make a lot of money. I've always made a lot of money in Nikken right from the get-go, but not because that's what my motivation was. It's because I fell in love with the idea of what Nikken and the 5 pillars are all about. And you can't buy my heart. That's why they are not able to get me. And so, yeah, it's sort of a long story short, but I fell in love with the concept of Nikken. The 5 pillars of health grew on me and grew in me, and that was that.
Yes, it's really interesting that you say that, because I'm similar in concept on why I do things. I don't do them because of money. I've never been motivated by that. Some people are, but most people are not. And so that's one thing that really drew me, the same as with you, Mike, to this company, is that it wasn't just money, it was purpose driven. I mean, there was a reason to do it. We're not selling something just to go out there and sell it. And I don't have any problem with anybody or any other company out there that market products and all kinds of things, because a lot of people buy things for a lot of reasons. But if you want to do business, if you want to create a life, then I think that one of the things I like about how you talk and what your demeanor is a lot about purpose driven. So talk to me. You're really a humans being more kind of person. Everybody know that we have humans being more as a concept that this company is based on. What did that really mean to you? I know that was really strong in your purpose, but tell me, for the people on the line that go, well, I'm not really sure what that means, why don't you kind of give your version of what humans being more really is? And you've kind of hinted to it already, but give a little more detail.
Some of my biggest aha moments in Nikken have been when I've been in front of an audience with a magic marker in my hand and a blank chart, and I'm trying to draw, because I think in pictures, and most people do. I'm trying to explain to them whatever it is that I'm trying to explain to them. And one day I had my back to the audience and I drew the circle, and I was really impressed how nice and even the circle was.
I think you like circles.
and then I drew kind of like, the Mercedes symbol, that's the line down, and then it sort of goes off left and right diagonals. Yeah. And then I drew the upper parts, and it kind of looked to me like a person. I was drawing a person. So I actually drew a face and hands and feet, and I just turned around to the audience and I said, that's you at the center of your universe, the circle being the center of your universe. And it all kind of sort of came rushing out at me what it was that I was trying to say, and since then, that's kind of what I've been saying it's all about. The 5 pillars of health is who I am and how I express myself. I'm a a spiritual being at the core of everything. I have a body. I'm not a body. I have a mind, right? I am not a mind. And so I have a family and so forth. So the 5 pillars really are the extension, the expression of myself, how I express myself in this world. And so to the degree with which I express that, is it abundant? Is it balanced? That's really what the 5 pillars is all about. That's what humans being more is all about. It's about the pursuit of being on target, being aligned with these 5 pillars. A simple thing would be, you put a bullseye up on the wall, draw the 5 pillars and say, okay, every day that I'm moving toward that bullseye is a good day. If I'm moving away from it, not so good. So it's sort of just a target. It tells us if we're going in the right direction. Am I moving toward a healthy expression of my physical being? Is my body getting healthier? Am I doing the things that support a healthier body? Am I doing the things that support a healthier mind? Am I doing the things that support a healthier family, healthier society, healthier finances? So it's really a way of looking at what I'm doing, how I'm investing my life force, and am I moving in the direction that I really want to be moving in?
Right. And that kind of relates to a bigger vision. I believe that from a Nikken's point of view, we help people in ways that 99% of the people out there cannot do. It's kind of like what you were talking about. It's more than just money, but it's kind of like the byproduct is the result, and the result provides you money. And money is not the end thing. Money is just a way to use it for expanding who you already are, okay? So my question to you is, so here we are, we have 5 pillars of health, we have the humans being more, we have something that most people, most companies don't have, and how do you take it to the next step? So somebody go, okay, well, how does that relate to me growing this business fast? I mean, how do you make that connection? Because based on what you said, why should I grow it fast? Why can't I just kind of, go out there and talk to a few people?
Well, my experience, and I think the experience of most of the people who've made big bucks in network marketing, and not just Nikken, but network marketing as a whole, hence the dialogue with Eric Worre so relevant, because here's a guy who's sort of an industry analyst and consults to many other network marketing individuals, and and we've all sort of compared notes, and I've even written a book. Or a book has been written about what it is that I teach, and it's all been about our experience. And the experience is that momentum is the key to creating growth, to creating excitement, enthusiasm. Kind of no different than stocks. If I was, getting a new stock on the market, I don't want to do it slow and steady, because at the beginning, if you do it that way, you're pretty much dead in the water. You got to create a story, and everybody who gets involved in this business, their first 90 days is about their personal success story. So we want to help them create such a story. It's that story that they're going to have the rest of their Nikken career to talk about. How did they do in their first 90 days? And quite frankly, people are at a point where when they're looking at this business, if they're at a point where they're looking at it seriously, it's because they need something to happen in the next 90 days. And so you really want to get very proficient at creating 90-day stories, helping people create their 90-day story. And maybe you've already had your 90 days or even 9 years. What difference does it make? Every time you sponsor someone new, it's a new opportunity for you to recreate that experience through them. You live vicariously through their launch. And so you can get better and better at helping people get a good start in the business and create momentum. And it's no different than an airplane. If you don't create momentum where an airplane's concerned, you're going to run out of fuel or you're going to run out of runway. Either way, that plane is not going to be doing so good. And so you've got to get the plane off the ground and high enough so that then you can throttle back or seek a new altitude. But you've got to get it off the ground. And so that takes a focused effort. It takes focused energy. It takes a lot of activity in a short period of time. All of that is about this 90-day type of a campaign to create momentum. And that slow burn scenario, well, my metaphor analogy for that is you can take a pile of uranium, put it in a nuclear reactor, and using control rods, control and limit the reactions, the chain reaction of that uranium, and you'll create a slow burn, and you'll be able to heat some water and turn it into steam and turn a generator. But if you pull those control rods all out at the same time and you let that chain reaction go viral, well, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get a nuclear explosion on your hands. And so that might look like, given all the circumstances of the world today, that a negative thing, but think of it in terms of concept. Do you want to create a big explosion, create a lot of activity, a lot of excitement, a huge amount of energy, and the momentum that draws to itself? Or do you want to be having to push this thing all day long, every day, and hope that something keeps it going? So momentum, getting a good start in the business, those are really important concepts in our business. And most network marketers who've done really, really well have learned to master that idea and create for themselves launch windows or launch opportunities. I did it 4 times. I'm in my 5th. I'm just about to start my 5th launch.
Well, something that I'd like to talk about based on what you just said, Mike. We have a lot of different kinds of people. Some people are helpers, some people are promoter types, like to go out and have a lot of fun, and I think we have all those characteristics in every person. But, what you just said about creating momentum, let's look at it from a bigger visionary, and then I'd like to get your input on what you think about that. And number one, if I want to really have an impact on purpose on creating a better, healthier world overall, do I want to do it slow? Because if you do it slow and you have about 4 or 5 billion people on the planet, we might not ever hit the first 100,000. Okay, but if we want to really have an effect over the whole world, we can't do it slow. We have to speed up that process to have an impact. So whether you're a helper or you're a promoter and wants to have a lot of fun traveling all over the world to do this, you got to have speed, because without speed, as you've been already talking about, you have a very slow growth, and slow growth is not going to fit and be congruent with our purpose and vision as a total aspect. What's your thoughts on what I just said there?
Well, absolutely. How do you hit critical mass? I mean, how do you become relevant in the world? And there's so much going on in the world, and so fast, so much information traveling, that if you can't create a focal point, if you can't be recognized as a happening, then you're just going to get lost in the noise of everyday chatter. So it's really important to make a splash, and that's a think of a macrocosm or microcosm. Whether we're talking about launching a brand new person and then making a splash in their family and their friends and their social network, to Nikken as a company and all of us working together to create a presence in the world where Nikken is recognized as a real phenomenon, that it has a place here and is not just drowned by all the chatter. So I think it's all relevant. We want to be a household name, and whether it's your house or your neighborhood or your social network or your country or the globe, we want to become a household name. And doing this slowly over time, as you said, we can't even keep up to the population growth. So we can't afford to do it slow. There's nothing worth doing that's worth doing slow.
Oh, that's so funny. I just liked how you put things, Mike. That's really good. Let me ask you this. So we got a new person, okay? So a new person says, well, when you say do things fast, what do I need to do? And I don't like the negativity of people telling me no or whatever. But so what advice would you give a brand new person who sees the vision, says, yeah, I would like to have that. I'd like to have an impact on the world, or make enough money to do what I want to do for my family, whatever. What advice would you give that person in the first 30 days?
Well, let me put it into a perspective that maybe you could sort of see it or answer it. If you knew you couldn't fail, if you absolutely knew you could not fail, but your success, the size of your success, would be a complete factor in how many people you reached out and contacted in the first 30 days, regardless of who was going to say yes, who was going to tell you were crazy, who was going to do whatever, become a customer or go on to become a huge business builder, regardless of all that. That you weren't, your reason for doing this was not to predetermine what would happen. It's just simply you knew you couldn't fail, And the size of your success would be determined by the number of people you contacted, you reached out and contacted. And there was no limit. If I said there's no limit to that, it's up to you. We can give you some stats. We can tell you some of the best in the business, the people who've made 40 million or more, have gone out and contacted as many as 250 people in their first 30 days. If you knew that, and you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? Would you sit on your hands? Would you think about it? Would you spend the first week and a half thinking about it? You would get out there and you get busy. And so what you really want to realize is that it's not about who's going to get involved. You don't know who's going to get involved. Whoever is going to get involved is going to get involved, whether it's through you or somebody else. If they're meant to be in this business, they're going to be in this business. And so it's really up to you to realize that and understand that it's either your downline or somebody else's downline they're going to be in. Because network marketing is not a fad. It's here to stay. It's the business model that's representing the present and the future. All corporations, every single company I know of right now is reconfiguring the way they treat their employees. They're now becoming contract workers. They are now starting to emulate in the corporate environment the exact type of relationship that we have in the network marketing environment. So this is the future of the economy. It cannot not be that way because it represents the most efficient way of doing business. And so everything moves toward higher degrees of efficiency. That's evolution. Nothing can turn the tide of this business model. So if you realize that, if you understand that you're maybe a forerunner as far as your network or your social community, I wouldn't be surprised if half of the people in your social environment have already heard about network marketing, or for that matter even been involved. So it's really not about that. It's simply about execution, impersonal execution. It's about finding the people who want to run with you now, because you're running regardless of who is running with you. When you set the tone of your intention to be that affirmative, there is a power that follows that will attract people undoubtedly, and the people that you want to be running with. You don't have to beg people, you don't have to convince people, and if you're seeing enough people, you won't have time to even worry about those who are hemming and hawing or have to think about it. And that's the position you want to put yourself in, or others that you're sponsoring. You want to put them in a position where you can't concern yourself with those who can't say yes or no, the undecided, because you're too busy dealing with the next person that you're talking to or the one that said yes. Put yourself purposefully in that situation, and you won't have all those concerns about, I talked to my best friend, and they're gonna think about it, they're gonna try the product for a week and all that. I didn't do that. I didn't have time for that, and neither did Reed Nelson or some of the other big guns in Nikken. I just know that they knew in their mind they could not fail. They made that decision. It wasn't really as if the gods smiled upon them. It was simply a decision. They made a decision that they could not fail. They would not fail. And they acted as if they were that person. And of course, as you sow, you reap. If you act like the person, you become the person.
Correct. Well, it's really interesting what you just said, and I think that there's a real lesson to be learned in life about that, and that is, if we need to get out of ourselves, and that is we're so worried about what people think about us, if we have a story that is a true life story that is who we are, and we tell that, and it doesn't have to be an hour long, it doesn't even have to be 30 minutes long, it could be 15 minutes long. We're not trying to tell everybody everything we know. We're just trying to give the energy out there of who we are, what we're all about, and what we're doing, and see if anyone has an interest in learning more about that. Then we can go to that next step. And I think that that's a real strong message that you're delivering there, Mike. And I'm hoping that people really get that message, that this is not about telling everything to everybody every time we talk. Is about going out there and speaking to everyone we know to let them know we're in business and we have a purpose, and that purpose-driven business is big, and we're looking to attract people to us. And those people will be attracted to us because of what you just said. People are going to get into businesses. They do it every day. They're out there looking. And I think right now, Mike, we have the best market ever since I've been in the business for over 19 years. It's just people are just wide open looking for opportunity out there that can give them what they want, which is really freedom. So tell me your version of freedom. What does freedom really mean to you?
Time. You know, having the time to do the things that you want to do that may not necessarily be labor related. I mean, most people don't have the luxury of being able to be on this call at this hour because they're busy at work or, you know, beholden to somebody else for something else. So for me, freedom is not just having money, because there's a lot of people who have that, but they don't have time. More valuable than money is time, the ability to actually enjoy life and spend the time with the people you want to spend time with. You know, last week I had the opportunity to drive all three of my kids. They go to 3 different schools, and I was Mr. Mom last week. I have the luxury of being able to be that. And to drop them off and to pick them up, and if it had to mean 3 times, whatever, so go to dance, go to this, and just being able to say, sure, I can do that, is what I'm talking about, is the freedom of time. And yeah, of course, you have to have the resources to pay your whatever your bills are to be able to do that. So passive income buys you freedom. So I don't care what kind of business you're in, if it's not passive income that you're generating. You know, Gerber in the book The E-Myth, he said that if your business requires your presence, you don't have a business, you have a job. And so you want a business that creates passive income. You want to build an asset that generates passive income. And quite frankly, if you don't have the experience, you don't have the resources, you don't have maybe the brain power, whatever that it takes to build a huge and successful business, and the 15, 20 years it usually takes to build one of those things before they ever see passive income, if you don't have all that going for you, then I think network marketing is probably the last resource you have. And while we consider it maybe the last resource, if you had brains, you would make it your first resource. Who would want to go the other way? Yeah, I'd rather have a 4-year career to passive income than 40 any day.
You know, what's kind of interesting is Morten is a computer background, engineer. I have a finance background. You have an aerospace background. And we're talking about humans being more, and, you know, it's really interesting how this works. And all I'll say about this, Mike, is that, you know, it doesn't take a rocket science or anybody to understand that if you really want to have an impact on the world and you go out there and do it enough, that you can generate the freedom you're talking about, and you can do it specifically with this company better than any other, because we're the only total wellness solution out there. There's no way you can say, hey, just take this bottle of juice or this, you know, this capsule, and you're going to be perfectly healthy. You can't even say, hey, just work out and you're going to be perfectly healthy if you drink and smoke. So it's really, we're the only company that actually has a total picture here, and it's a vision that we will always be here, never go away, and it's the purpose-driven. We have a bigger cause, and I really like about that. So to close this up, I'd like to get your a thought on one last thing here, Mike. You know, vision, you know, we use that term kind of broadly. You know, people go, oh, vision. It's just the total spectrum of who we are and what we're all about. Where does belief in yourself and belief that you could actually do this fit in with all that? You know, vision by itself is great, but where does belief come in?
You know, well, first of all, I think it's biblical, right? The expression that what you believe in your heart. And so if we look at that, what's meant by that? What we believe in our heart is what we manifest, or what we will create, or what we'll experience. So we can tell ourselves all day long until we're blue in the face that we believe something and not really believe it in our heart. And so we'll be operating counter intentions. And I think where network marketing has its hands down over the competition when it comes to a formula for success is the simplest of things. It helps address the very core issue of what stands between people and success, which is their belief system. Ultimately, that's what stands between you and success. So how do we bridge this huge gap that could exist for somebody who's just getting started, who doesn't have the experience, doesn't have the belief, therefore, and says, I really want to be successful here. How do I get from here to there when everybody's telling me, but you got to believe to be successful? But I don't have that belief. I don't have the experience yet, so how do I get from here to there? And the answer I always give is, hey, can you believe in me? Can you look at what I've done and take what I've done and say, okay, you know what? He's human. You prick him, he bleeds. And if I'm willing to work with you, and I'm willing to coach and mentor you, and I've made mistakes, but I can help you get through them faster and shorter, and so they become your mistakes, but you also grow from them a lot faster than I did because I'm going to help you through this. That is an advantage that you have in this business model over any other business model. Real mentorship, real coaching, real mentorship by people who are not only vested in your success, but who've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. So they're not speaking out of their, the side of their mouth. They're talking from experience. They know what they're talking about. So if you can have faith in others, if you can open yourself to the possibility that there is somebody out there who cares, who will give it to you like it is, tell it straight, and give you the chance to learn and become that person, then you're going to see and experience success a lot sooner than any other way. In fact, I so believe this. I've written about this. It's in my book. I talk about this where I say, network marketing, particularly Nikken, is pretty much the only business in the world you can get a promotion and be a complete incompetent. And that's because you've got upline that know what they're doing.
I don't know if I want to use the word incompetent. I just say that you don't have the knowledge yet to be able to be successful. But your belief is absolutely important. One of the things I know, Mike, is that when you have a new person, they don't have that belief. They have to draw on someone else, and that's why these coaching calls and calls like we're doing right now that people can listen to or draw to and that kind of thing are so important, okay? Because the more they believe, the more believable they become, and the more believable that you become, the more people are attracted to you because of that belief. And I know that we're just talking, it sounds like metaphors and all, but you know what? All the things that we're talking about are the ingredients that make success. And so, when it really boils down to is getting people to move with a sense of urgency, coming up with a story, and have faith that the people that you're working around will support you to the point where you have your own belief and can share that too. And I think that we do that better in Nikken than just about anybody out there. That's why humans being more than the 5 pillars of health are so important, our foundations. The foundations of Isma Masuda, the original founder of Nikken, and I really believe that there's a sense of getting back to that core around the globe in Nikken, and that's like I really, really love what I do here, and it's just amazing. Any final thoughts in closing for you, Mike?
Well, I just think that no matter where you are on this journey, cut yourself a little bit of slack. That there is a learning process here. Nobody was born a royal diamond. It was something that we had to learn how to develop into and become, and we never stop. I mean, you want to keep going and never look back. Always take others with you, and that's a growing opportunity in itself. So if you give yourself a little bit of permission to make some mistakes and know that that's inevitable, it's part of how we actually grow, it's how we learn, then you can be a little bit more relaxed about how you're approaching this. You'll be a little bit more comfortable with your role as somebody who is both a coach and a mentor and an apprentice. You might be a diamond on this call listening in and thinking, I'm a diamond. There's not really that much more to learn, is there? Yeah, there is. There actually is. In fact, it was at a diamond where I really started accumulating wealth, and I needed to learn how to deal with money. And that's something that you're going to need to learn as well. So it's all a learning experience. So be open to the fact that you're not going to get it. It's not like, okay, I got my degree and now I'm qualified for everything. I'm super. It's a growing process. That's exactly what we mean by humans being more. It's a never-ending process. And so you're surrounded by people who very much care about your success. The people in Nikken, and particularly those who have already experienced it, had a taste for it in Nikken, their vested interest in you is genuine. And so there's no hidden agendas here. It's like, Be open to trust the people above who have got you an eye on the future and got an eye on you and where you're at because they've been there. So it really comes down to a little bit of trust and a little bit of permission to maneuver. Because if you're too hard on yourself, then you won't afford to make mistakes, and you won't give yourself a chance to do the things that you got to do to grow and to learn and to be successful. So give yourself some room to grow. Know that you're supported always. I've got sort of a golden rule. I'm in it as long as you're in it. To the degree you are, I am. That's kind of how I work with my business partners. I'm in it. To the degree you are, as long as you are, I am. And so, it's a partnership. So work with people. Stay in touch. Don't fall off the wagon. And if you do, come back home. Come back to the sport. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of flash in the pan, shiny things out there that look brand new, and maybe you can try your hand at something new. You mentioned earlier, Chris, that this is the best. We have something few companies have, a total wellness approach. But even more important, we have something that has defined who we are and will continue to define us into the future, regardless of our product mix, and that is the 5 pillars of health. That is the true calling card of Nikken. That's the thing that has teeth and longevity and deep meaning. Those other things are flash in the pans. They're here today, gone tomorrow. But Nikken has the staying power. So if you want generational wealth, if you're looking to create not just wealth for yourself, but generational wealth, you need something that has staying power. And that's what Nikken's all about.
Well, Mike, I really want to thank you for coming on today and sharing your wealth of knowledge. And I know everybody that will be listening to this in the future or right now on this call really appreciate that in a sincere way. So thank you again for coming on, and look forward to seeing you in Vegas and around the Nikken Highway. So have a really great day, Mike.
Thank you. My pleasure. Have a great one.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you.